What's up? What's up? We are back. We're dropping this on October 1st, I think. So we're finished up the last series of the
Right.
season. Bro, give me a favorite thing you saw this last week.
So favorite thing I saw, it kind of got screwed up now because the Yankees did lose a game since this happened. But Bronxy the Turtle, have you heard about him?
No, what's that? Of
No. So Nestor Cortez found a turtle in the clubhouse
course, it was Nestor.
at Yankee
Okay.
Stadium, of course. Okay. And so they kept it and they have him in like a cage, and all the players were like taking turns feeding him and stuff. And that happened on the first Monday we played the Rangers last week. And then we hadn't lost a game since that happened until like last night. So it was kind of becoming a thing where like he was the reason why we were winning. It was like a good luck charm or something.
They just found a
Um,
turtle?
Apparently, that's the story that I heard about it. I'm not sure if there's any other accurate stories, but that's what
No,
I
I'm
heard.
just
So
thinking about like New York City right now. And
I
just like a
know
wild like turtle just like going around.
it was
Like
pretty small. It wasn't like a big ass one. It was like a tiny turtle, like one
no,
that you would
right.
find
But
outside.
like
Yeah. So
that's
they named him Bronxy, and then they had him in the clubhouse, and for a while they probably still do, but they did lose.
I would hope
So
so. I would keep him around.
yeah, yeah, why not?
That's kind of funny. Damn.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got?
So in the midst of this terrible Mets stretch, lost season, Marcus Stroman stole a base the other day.
Oh,
He
really?
stole one and he looked great. Let me tell you. He looked great and he forced a terrible throw to second. So he just went to third in the play.
Did
Like,
he? Wow.
can he play a position? Like I'm telling you, he's freaking athletic. Like he's
Oh
a
yeah,
pitcher, but I feel like he could definitely play like almost any position.
man. He's won a Gold Glove at pitcher, right? Like I'm pretty sure he has
Yeah.
at least
And
one.
he might again this year. I don't know what the stats are,
Yeah,
but
yeah, man. He's a stud. I remember with Toronto, he would make some great plays out there too. Like I guarantee you, he seems like the type of guy that would be like a great second baseman because he's like kind of
yeah.
small, but like I feel like he would be like Gold Glover out there making like some stick plays. So
Yeah. No, I love him.
yeah,
Probably my favorite guy on the
yeah,
team.
yeah.
Also, speaking of Mets for a second, um, to the MLB Instagram account, whoever posted the Jared Kelenic like game-winning hit with the caption "You gotta believe,"
Uh,
I hope you like tripped down the stairs this morning. Like,
man,
what? You're gonna troll a third place team that hasn't like made the playoffs in years? Oh, you gotta believe. Which for anyone who doesn't know is like a classic Mets phrase. Okay, all right.
yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Fuck off.
Man, those Mariners, they're going, man. They're going.
Oh yeah, clearly on the backs of Jared Kelenic. God bless it. Like,
uh,
awful trade. Like, no one's. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it would come back to bite us, but freaking
yeah.
MLB, be better. Trash
It's
ass.
not even. It's not even like you guys are like that. Like you guys have kind of fallen off like the past month, but like you guys didn't have like a horrible season. It's not like you're in last place and you made this trade and like this is why you're in last place either. You know what I mean? Like
No, right.
you
And
know.
even like, I don't know, if we were the Red Sox, we were the Dodgers, or even like you guys, that's easy to poke holes at them. Like they're like the
Yeah.
Empires.
Yeah.
I
Man.
guess. I just my brother texted me that this morning. I got the picture of it. I was like, "Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?" But that's yeah, it's a Mets world right now.
It's the life of a Mets fan. You know.
You know who's doing a little better? The Cardinals. They won
Cardinals.
17 in a row. It got snapped last night, but
Man, I mean they clinched the second wild card out of nowhere. So that's something.
how like
We're about to.
helpless would you have to feel if you're like Cincinnati just sitting there? Like, they I guess like they underperformed definitely. But like just the
Yeah.
team in front of you just like simply would not lose a game.
It's like even Cincinnati was like winning some games too. Like they weren't terrible during that 17 game stretch by the Cardinals, and still the Cardinals just kept winning. So there was nothing they could do. Like, I
No,
mean,
right.
it sucks. Like Joey Votto was having like a great stretch the past like week or so, and then they still just like it didn't matter. Um, that must piss them off. I mean, I feel like next year the Reds are going to come out pretty mad at the Cardinals, but I mean, listen, we got to give credit where credit's due. We're going to talk about the Cardinals a little bit later on, but like,
Hmm.
man, what they did during those 17 games is crazy. Like the Yankees had They have a 13 game streak earlier this year. I think it was in August or something like that.
Yeah, something like
But
that.
17 is like, that's crazy. I mean, if we think about it, I don't remember the last time we saw a team go 17 in a row. Maybe it was like the Indians that one year. Didn't they win a
I'll
bunch in
give
a
you the
row?
number. I actually have the numbers up here. I'll give it to
Okay.
you once we go into the Cardinals. But it's pretty
Yeah.
close to the record. It's not far away.
So good for the Cardinals, man. Wainwright's probably going to start that game, so that'll be interesting too.
Yeah. So whether it's going to be in LA or San Francisco, we'll see. We'll find. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll have a better idea probably by the time this episode drops. But
Yeah.
Dodgers are currently 2 out of that spot, I believe. But yeah, quickly touch on the standings for a second. Reds and Padres, like we said, have been eliminated. A's have been eliminated. That would have seemed surprising a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So,
the A's just got eliminated last night. So who would have thought at this point in the year that Seattle would be ahead of the A's and like pushing for a spot? You know what I mean?
bro. You know, Seattle's run differential is like negative 60. Like, this is not just like they're having a great season, but like they're like the flukiest team you could have.
Yeah. I mean, they really are. And like, I mean, they have like this, what is it, 21 years that they haven't made the playoffs, or 20 years, whatever it is now. Like, this would be the year they would make it with like a negative run differential and all this weird stuff because they haven't made it in so long. Like,
I mean, it happens some years. It's just like there's just no way they're doing anything if they get in.
No. I don't know, man. They're scary to me because if we have to play them and like they haven't been in the playoffs in so long, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll talk about it a little bit later when we get into the standings, but I wouldn't sleep on them that much.
Fair.
But
yeah, because of freaking Jared Kalenic, you know, he got to believe. So
exactly, dude. Also, just a quick shout out: White Sox clinched their division. So did the Brewers and the Rays. So good for the Rays. I mean, I think this is the second straight year now. I believe the Rays just got the most wins they've ever had in a season with 98. I don't think they've ever had more than that. So the Rays are going to Ray. And you know what? They're just going to keep rolling. I would be afraid to play them in the playoffs too. But also get on the Brewers.
Yeah.
Get on the Brewers too. Had a great year. So good for them.
They're at 95.
This is also this is the first time that they've made the playoffs 4 years in a row. So
I remember you mentioned something like that.
Did I mention that last week? Yeah. So, you know, that's crazy when you think about it because I feel like the Brewers have had so many good years like in our growing up era, but like maybe before then they just were never really that good. So
this feels like one of their better teams of that stretch though. Like with the pitching, with the way guys like I don't know, like an Adames just broke out, like
man, dude, we'll talk about that at some point too, but that's low key one of the best trades of the year because I feel like that really gave them some energy that like they didn't needed. They didn't even know they needed it until they got it. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. A really like low key 95 wins. You know what I mean? I feel like people talk about Milwaukee, but like, you know, they're definitely taking a back seat to everyone else. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive now on the Cardinals and their success in like the second half of the season, not just like the past 3 weeks where they have the 17-game win streak. Like they've been solid since the All-Star break. So, you know, they did just have the streak snapped, but like we said, they clinched the wild card spot. And then since going 10-17 in the month of June, like at that point, remember back then, we were kind of saying that they were done. I think on one of our episodes, we were pretty much saying like the Cardinals are done, man. That was a bad month. And since that day, since July 1st, so that's a little bit earlier than the All-Star break, but since then they've gone 48-29, which is one of the best records in baseball. And there's some reasons behind that. They didn't just start to play good out of nowhere. Like some of their players have had significantly better second halves than the first half. So, I mean, obviously a guy that you want to mention right away is Paul Goldschmidt. He's like an anchor for that team. Obviously, him and Arenado were supposed to be the guys there. I even remember I projected the Cardinals to win the division before the season started.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Because of them. And then Goldschmidt had a pretty shitty first half. He had a 767 OPS, only 13 homers. Not great by his standards. But in the second half, he's hit 333, which is always a great, nice, clean number, 333. That's always a good number to have.
Yeah.
He's had 18 homers, 49 RBIs, and a 1.035 OPS. So he's been a really, really key reason as to why they've changed their season around. But
that's like Diamondbacks Goldie, yeah.
It is, man. And like I feel like he hasn't really had a season like that in St. Louis. I feel like he's had some good years there, but like he's never really been like he was in Arizona. Another guy too we're gonna talk a lot about later is Tyler O'Neill. This dude is breaking out and having like an insane season. His numbers aren't that different from the first half and the second half, but all of his numbers in the second half are better than his numbers from the first. So second half, he's played 66 games. He's got a 289 batting average, 17 homers, 40 RBIs, and a 907 OPS. I mean, that's pretty much all-star caliber numbers right there.
I was just about to say, I think maybe next year he gets his first all-star game.
I would say. I mean, if we talk about the entire Cardinals outfield, really, Harrison Bader was kind of injured a lot in the first half. Didn't really have his great numbers, but second half, he's got a 797 OPS, 9 homers, 281 batting average. That from the center fielder is pretty good, especially because of the defense he plays. And then we'll talk about the right fielder, Dylan Carlson, who I believe is still in contention for Rookie of the Year. He is a rookie this year, I think. So in the second half, he's hit 265. He's got an 800 OPS, 9 homers. So he's been significantly better than he was in the first half, too, where he had a 735 OPS. Obviously, not great. So if you look at all of that from the hitting standpoint, it really shows you why they were not very good in the first half. I mean, 4 of their 8 position players were not having great seasons. Like they weren't having like their significant level seasons. Like they were okay, but they weren't great. And then you look at a guy that they traded for. We all kind of like were like, why are the Cardinals trading for John Lester? Doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's been solid for St. Louis since he came over. He's pitched 73 innings, and he has a 3.82 ERA, 14.7 K percentage, and a 1.29 WHIP. So that is compared to a 5.54 ERA with the Nationals and a 1.74 WHIP with 14.1 K percentage. I mean, what I find interesting about Lester, though, is that his FIP right now is 5.09 with the Cardinals. So he's gotten kind of lucky, but like, the Cardinals have kind of this thing going right now where, like, I wouldn't bet against John Lester in the playoffs, also because he's just had so much experience in October.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the FIP kind of says that he's not been that good. But, I mean, again, he's given the team a chance to win. Obviously, their offense has been better, so that's also helped out. And then I'm going to talk about Adam Wainwright, man. This dude he's got to be, in my opinion, in, like, the top 5 Cy Young talks, honestly, because of the season he's put together.
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, in the first half, he had a 3.58 ERA, which isn't bad. Like that's
it's pretty good
solid,
for like 40 years old or whatever he's at.
Exactly, dude. And guess what? His ERA in the second half is over a full run less than that. In the second half, he has a 2.50 ERA, 0.95 WHIP also, which is awesome. And then he has a 3.33 FIP. So he's been better than the FIP says, but still 3.33 for 40 years old wouldn't be bad either. So
yeah.
I mean, Wainwright has really been like the lock in that rotation, which really at the beginning of the year, you would have said it would be Flaherty. You wouldn't have even projected John Lester to be there at this point. Miles Michaelis has pretty much been hurt the whole season.
Right.
And then I think Jay Happ rounds out the rotation, who was a trade like Lester where we were like, why'd that happen? And he actually hasn't been good. So that one made sense. But listen, though, with players like Nolan Arenado, Tommy Edman, Paul DeJong, and Yadier Molina having pretty consistent seasons compared to their career seasons, the improved second halves from these guys obviously really helped the team out because, let's face it, if this didn't happen, we would be talking about the Cardinals probably in third place in that division, and the Reds might have the wild card spot at this point. So, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff to talk about with them. And, dude, they scare me a little bit in October because Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, if they get hot at the right time, I mean, that's what we've kind of been waiting for the whole season, and that happened during the 17-game win streak. You know, guys like Tyler O'Neill, again, like he's broken out in a huge way this year. I don't know. I think the Cardinals, I don't know if they're going to beat the Dodgers because, like, let's face it, I don't know
I
if
don't
the
know,
Dodgers are
man.
going to
It's
lose a
one
game,
game.
but
Well, okay. Well,
right,
actually, I should. We know the Dodgers are going to be in that game, but assuming
right.
they
So it might
are,
be the Giants. Yeah.
that's true. Hmm.
Honestly, I think if it's the Giants, I see the Cardinals winning. To be honest with you, even though the Giants have a better record,
I actually feel the
I just
opposite way. I think they have a
you
better shot
do
against the
really,
Dodgers, and yeah,
man. I just feel like the pitcher that the Dodgers put out in the wild card game is going to be better than the Giants pitcher that they would put out. Whether it would be Gossman or Webb, I don't know. Like if it's Scherzer or Bueller or Kershaw, I just feel like that gives the Dodgers a better shot than the Giants in a do or die game. I don't know
yeah.
though.
I don't know. I feel like the Giants just. This is gonna sound like almost cliche, but they just always find ways to win in like the wackiest, like you know what I mean? Like they're worse than the Dodgers on paper, but they just always find a way. So that's why I think they would have a better shot in just one game. But
Yeah.
I don't know,
I mean,
man.
regardless though, the Cardinals are interesting, man. Like what I was looking at too, their bullpen hasn't been great this year, like at all. And
Really?
they've still been winning. Like I think Andrew Miller in the second half has had an ERA above 4. I'm pretty sure Gallegos has too. Like I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're somehow winning with their bullpen not being good either, which is very
Hmm.
interesting to me. Um, like
Yeah.
also you wonder what they're gonna do with Flaherty in the playoffs because he was hurt for so long. Like, do you think it's possible that they use him as their closer instead
Oh.
of a starter? Because I don't know if he's built up yet. Like I think he was out. I think he only came back about a week ago.
Hmm.
Like because the Yankees are doing that with Severino. Not that he's the closer, but he's like a setup guy right now. I wonder if the Cardinals would do the same thing.
That's interesting. I mean, it would just suck to take him out of that rotation though. Like
I
he's a
know.
Cy Young candidate, like when he's healthy.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I do have the record for the longest win streak, and
Oh yeah.
it's actually kind of controversial. So the unofficial record is 26 by the New York Giants in 1916, but they had an unofficial tie in the middle of that. Like there was some sort of yeah, they had a tie and then they like replayed the game or something. So anyway, I don't know if it's like necessarily considered. So if you want to go to the next one, that is the Indians at 22 wins in 2017.
That right. Because that's the one I was thinking of. I remember that one pretty well.
I mean, they didn't even win a
That
playoff
was
series that year though.
no, because
Like
we
talk
beat
about
them.
like a great team that just like didn't do anything.
I know, man. Dude, like so that year actually the Yankees lost the first 2 games to them in
Right,
Cleveland.
right.
And then game 3 I was actually at Yankee Stadium. That was when Greg Bird hit a home run off of Andrew Miller.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we won 1-0. And then we won the next 2 games. Like I think in game 5, Didi had like 2 homers or something crazy. Guardy homer, like
Against like Kluber or
and
something. Yeah, that was a
right.
crazy.
And that was a crazy year because I mean when we were 2 down to the Indians, I really thought we were done. And then we were like a win away from the World Series when we played the Astros. But yeah, that was crazy. But I remember like Jay Bruce was on that team for the Indians, right? I think Jay Bruce might have had like one of those walk-off hits that kept the streak going at some point.
Okay.
I don't know. That was a good Indians team though. Those years, like 16 and 17, they were
Oh
like
yeah.
really good.
No, they really
Yeah,
missed their shot. I mean, they were up.
yeah,
You know, we could go on. I mean, they were up 3-1 on the Cubs. You know, like missed
yeah,
opportunity. But
yeah.
and then kind of transition to what it seems and not what it seems. We had mentioned Tyler O'Neill and his somewhat breakout. So yeah, tell me a little bit about him and what he's changed this year.
Yeah, man. Like we talked about, he's had a great second half, but I mean, he's really had a great season overall. I mean, right now he's hitting 282, 32 homers, 77 RBIs, and an 894 OPS. I mean, that's up there. He's played 134 games. So from his rookie season in 2018 through 2020, he only averaged about 57 games played each season. Um, and he would average a 230 batting average, 7 homers, 19 RBIs, and a 716 OPS. That's really nothing to talk about. That's not very good. Definitely not what the Cardinals were expecting from a guy like him, because I think he was a pretty well-rated prospect. He was a pretty good guy down in the minors. So that was
Okay.
not what they wanted. But yeah, I mean, this season, O'Neill has just really broken out, like you said. His barrel percentage Average exit velo, expected slugging, expected weighting on base, and hard hit percentage are all in the top 8% of the league. If you want to go into like deep numbers like that, which are really like StatCast numbers and stuff. Um, his K percentage is 31.6, and that's in the bottom 4% of the league. So
That's
he's
a
doing all
lot.
of this, plus yeah, I know. So, I mean, his batted ball profile is similar this year to Miguel Sano and Luke Voigt, meaning like where he hits the ball, how hard he hits the ball, his launch angle, stuff like that is really
Okay.
similar to those guys' seasons. So I find it interesting that like he's so similar to them in like his power numbers and Statcast numbers, but his batting average and OPS are like way higher than both of those guys. So I think he's really finding ways to like get base hits too. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely feel like he's breaking out, and it's legit because he's only, I think, 26 or 27 years old. He's not very old. And I mean, just the way that he's hitting the ball so hard and stuff like that is just that leads to success, obviously, you know?
Yeah, I think I mostly buy it because of like, yeah, what you're saying, the hard hit percentage, the barrel percentage. I feel like that's just a very good indicator. Um, yeah, strikeouts a little concerning, but
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what the game is today, though. You know what I mean?
yeah, I
So,
mean, Otani is like
yeah.
close to the league lead in striking out as a
Yeah.
batter. So,
So, I mean, also O'Neal was a Gold Glove winner last year when he had a pretty terrible offensive season during the shortened year. Last year,
oh,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure he only hit like 174 or something, but he played like 50 games and he won a Gold Glove in left field. So he's also a pretty good defender. I do think he probably has a shot at winning a Gold Glove again this year because I think he's played pretty well out there. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I definitely think he's what it seems. I think he's going to be a big part of the Cardinals if they make it past the wild card game and he gets hot, he's another interesting piece for them. But I think in the future too, he's going to be a big piece of that team.
Yeah, yeah, going for. I mean, not yeah, even someone I kind of slept on. Just I don't know, with Goldie and Arenado and that
You know
team.
what? Like, I think the Cardinals always have these like corner outfielders that like you never even like think of. Like they're
Right.
just like average. Like
They
I
like
remember
that.
like the days where they had like Stephen Piscotty and Tommy Pham, and like you didn't even know who they were really. You just knew they were like pretty
Yeah.
good players and stuff. Like I remember like one year in the playoffs, they both homered like back to back, and I didn't even know who they were. But then they showed their stats for the season, and I was like, wow, they're actually pretty good. Like I feel like they
You,
always just have these guys that are
bro,
just
here's a name you
like
probably have heard in a while. Alan Craig.
that's another one. Alan
Alan
Craig.
Craig
That's
had
what I
at
was thinking
least
of
like
actually.
two really good seasons for them. And like,
Oh
you wouldn't
yeah,
know who he is, but
no,
yeah, but
he
yeah,
was
those corner
great.
outfielders, man.
Um, Dude, I mean, I guess he's well known, but Matt Holliday is probably another one that's kind of
Yeah.
in that category, but he's more well known than them. But yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, they always find ways to get these corner outfield dudes that are just like studs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Um, I want to talk a little bit shifting over to San Francisco. We're always like, well, how are the Giants doing this? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense. Like, we're looking at this team. So
Right.
one guy, like, who's part of that is Lamonte Wade Jr. So right now, I want to see over 105 games with them, 18 home runs, 820 OPS from 2019 2020. That was he had two home runs in 42 games with a 675
Wow.
OPS. So again, a guy I didn't really know going into like this season at all. But since the start of 2019, he's increased his launch angle from 11.6 to 19.3. Again, I know that's like a weird ass statistic, but like basically he's decreasing his ground balls, increasing fly balls, more home runs.
Right.
Um, Also, barrel percentage has gone up almost like double, almost like 6.4 to 10.7. You mentioned batted ball profile with O'Neal. And so Wade's bad ball profile is similar to Chris Bryant, Mike Yastrzemski, who and Alex Dickerson, all on the Giants. Yeah, I read that list and like did not realize that for a second. Yeah,
Right.
I'm still getting used to Bryant being over there. Um,
Yeah.
Also, just in a way, he's played every outfield position and first base this season. So He's been a big breakout for them. Do you buy him? He's 27, by the way, just for age reference.
Um, this is a tough one because like I want to because of his stats like increasing launch angle and increasing barrel percentage like but he's increased them but like they're still not like really high compared to like the rest of the league. They're just higher for like him.
Right.
But I mean San Francisco if he's hitting the ball similarly to guys on his own team who are good players just like he is this year, it kind
Hmm.
of leads me to believe that like the San Francisco coaching staff, the hitting coach is doing something right because like they're all hitting very similarly and they're all on the same team and they're having good years. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think like I'm gonna buy a season like this again. I don't think he's gonna have like a breakout season where he hits like over 30 homers. I don't see that happening really because I also think he platoons a lot. So he doesn't hit very well against left-handers, which is why he's only played about 105 games. So I think that he'll have a season similar to this in like the next few years, but I don't think he'll have one like better than this. Um, I think he'll probably hit close to 20 homers like the next few years when he gets the right opportunities to hit. Um, and probably drive in between 50 and 75 runs, maybe something like that, depending on how many at bats he gets. But I'm gonna like buy him as a player right now. I'm buying it. I don't think he's gonna drop off that much. What about
Okay.
you?
I think Yeah, I think he regresses a little bit. I'm even just looking at his numbers like in the second half, and his OPS is like closer to like a 700 or under 700, so he's fallen off a little bit. Yeah, I think he'll be like a average outfielder. I don't know if he'd like 800 OPS. I don't know if I see that again, but
Yeah, I'm gonna say like 750 maybe is like his peak from now on, which
yeah.
isn't bad for a guy that's like a platoon guy. Um, Plus, though, what I find interesting is that like we're talking about injuries later, but Brandon Belt is going to be out for the playoffs now. He just fractured his wrist,
The
I
whole
believe.
playoffs?
It depends on how far they make it, I
Shit,
think.
man.
But
I heard he got hurt. I didn't know how serious
yeah.
it was.
So I think though that as once the playoffs start, Lamonte Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores are going to be platooning at first base,
Bummer.
depending on who's on the mound. Your guy, Wilmer.
No, I love
Um,
that. But damn, that
but
sucks, man.
I find that interesting though because like it sucks because Brandon Belt is so good. We know that he's a great player, but um, if Wade kind of takes this opportunity here, it might be a reason why the Giants don't bring Belt back because I mean, I don't know how much he's going to ask for, but they haven't extended him like they extended Crawford. So I don't know what they're going to really do there. But I don't know. I think the playoffs will be interesting because we'll see if we can get some clutch hits. But he reminds me of like the guys the Giants always have when they make the playoffs. Like, who was the guy that hit that home run that
Connor
sent them to the?
Gillespie.
He was
Just
one
the
of
most
them,
random ass guys.
and
Mm-hmm.
I think a couple years before that, it was like, what was his name? Oh,
Marcos
it was
Guerrero.
Travis. That's another one. Travis Ishikawa was another
Yep.
guy. Remember him? He hit the home run that like sent them. They won the pennant or whatever. I think they beat the Nationals or something. Whoever they beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he just reminds me of like that left-handed guy that's gonna do something like that in the playoffs this year, and we're always gonna remember him, even if he doesn't have like a great career from now on. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like he's got that vibe around him, just like the Giants guys always do.
No, exactly. So
Yeah,
we'll see. All right. So Lil Stan's update. Obviously, it's going to change, but kind of interesting thing. Houston has still not clinched the division with what, four games left.
4 games to play.
So
Yes.
I'm just saying, Seattle's three behind right now. And I think the magic number is two for Houston to clinch, but
Right.
Seattle can win the AL
So,
West.
so I believe that Seattle actually has an off day today. So I know that Houston plays today, and then they play the next 3 days. But
So
Seattle
Seattle's
only
okay.
has
Got it.
so Seattle has 3 left. So I think right now, man, it's interesting. So I think that if Seattle wins out, and if Houston loses the rest of the way, like Seattle has 89 wins. So if they win their next 3 games, they will have 92 wins. And if the Astros they'll have the same amount of wins. So something will happen there. Plus, it's literally, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's literally like the Astros could possibly miss the playoffs at this point. At the time we're recording, which when it comes out, it may no longer be the case. But
I think it happens. I think they miss. I think the baseball guys are just them.
Could you imagine if Seattle wins that division and then the Astros miss the playoffs, dude?
That would be the greatest thing.
Because there's just so many scenarios that could happen. Like, let's say that Seattle somehow wins the division, however the math is going to work. So then Houston would be trying to get a wild card spot. And let's say, like, for argument's sake, let's say the Yankees do have the top spot. I'm just looking at the standings right now. So Boston has the second spot. Boston has 89 wins right now. If Boston wins their next 4 games, they would have 93 wins. And if the Astros don't win another game, Boston would have 1 more win than Houston. So then Houston would miss the playoffs.
Who are the Astros playing this weekend? Oakland, right?
Let's see. Yes, Oakland. So Oakland is going to be pissed that they got knocked out, too.
Spoiler?
Yeah.
I mean, they're out. Dude. I don't think they're making it at this point. They're done. But
no, yeah, they're done. But
they're officially in. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Damn, man. I'm just Seattle's 9-1 in the last 10 though.
Plus, guess who Seattle plays this weekend? They play the Angels. So.
Yeah, plus, they have no reason to. No.
Plus, Ohtani is not pitching on Sunday. It has been announced. So if he was, this would be really tough. But now that he's not, the Angels have no pitching, dude.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There's a chance, man. I'm like,
and in the midst of all of this, we're just forgetting about like Toronto.
I know.
I
Toronto's
still
only a
can't
game
believe
out.
They didn't take that spot. I don't get it. I look at like a run differential or just like how freaking good that team is. I don't know.
I mean, it's also relatively crazy because, like, if you look at it now, let's say the Astros could win the division. The wild card game could literally still be Seattle and Toronto. Like, it's possible.
Yeah, that would really take something to move. But
I mean, the thing is that Toronto's only a game behind Boston. Boston has the easiest schedule, though. That's the thing. Like, if you look at the remaining schedules, Boston plays 1 against Baltimore tonight, and then they play 3 against the Nationals at Nationals Park. So they're both not good teams. Boston probably has the easiest schedule.
Damn.
You know, Toronto has a relatively easy schedule, too. They play us tonight, so obviously that's going to be an interesting game. But then they play 3 against Baltimore. We have 1 against Toronto tonight, and then we play Tampa for 3 games. So we really have the hardest schedule, which I don't want to focus on too much because then I'll hype myself out.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know. Toronto is a tough, like, the 2 games we've played against them have been really great games to watch. I don't know if you saw the highlights, but they've been good games so far. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Like, the National League is pretty much set except for the NL East, like, division. But, like, the AL wildcard, there's still 4 teams going for the spots. So it's pretty crazy.
Right. I mean, I was just about to touch on National League real quick. Dodgers are 2 out with 4 games left.
Yeah.
So it could happen. I really just don't see the Giants falling away like that, but it's possible. Otherwise, that wildcard game is in LA either next Tuesday or next Wednesday. I forget exactly what day it is.
I believe it's Wednesday because I think the AL one is Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned NL East. I also think the Braves have that. I don't think Philly's getting them.
There's like some interesting situations with that right now. So they each have 4 games left, and there's 4.5 games that separate them. So that's kind of a weird number. This is because they never made up a rainout between Atlanta and Colorado because they didn't have time. Like, Colorado was leaving town, and obviously they're not very close. So this is really, really interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, but if the Phillies win the rest of their games and the Braves lose the rest of their games through Sunday, the Braves records will be 85-76, and the Phillies will be 85-77, which means that there's a difference in games played. Mm-hmm. So if this happens, then I think this is how it would happen. I think Colorado would have to go to Atlanta on Monday, play the
That would
Braves.
suck. They'd probably be so pissed about that, though.
Like, I know, dude. And then they'd have to play the game. And if Atlanta wins that game, then Atlanta makes the playoffs and they win the division and Philly's out. But if Colorado wins, then the Braves and the Phillies would be forced to play a game 163. I don't know if it would be later that day or if it would be the next day. I don't even know how that would work because I don't think we've ever even seen this happen. But because then if that happens, wouldn't they have the same record or how would that work? Like, if the Braves lost, no, did I don't even know. Like, I feel like they would have the same record.
I'll recap all of this. So basically, what you're telling me is Seattle is taking the AL West, and that Philly is going to play a 163.
Because Colorado is going to play first.
And Colorado is going to win 163, and Philly's going to get the division. Okay.
So, yeah, Seattle's winning the division and Philly's winning the division. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, cool. Looking forward to it. All right, some injuries to get into. Honestly, a lot of these are for teams that are out of it, so it's not even worth mentioning, like a DeGrom or a Trout. Like, they're done for the season. So we'll just touch on Zach Greinke has gone to the IL with neck soreness, 10-day IL. So he was doing pretty poor anyway for Houston. But he's out for a bit. You had mentioned Bell. He's fractured thumb.
Yeah.
Sucks. But, dude, I remember when you sent me this, like, what was it, yesterday? With Devin Williams. He punched a wall after Milwaukee clinched the division. And he broke his hand. I've never seen anything like it.
I don't even know. What were you doing? Like, you literally, I'm telling you, like, the Brewers they still have a shot, but, like, that bullpen with Hader and Williams is just sick. And now they don't have Williams. I mean, how does that, like, how shitty must he feel now?
Can you imagine it's like game 5 of the NLDS and, like, the Brewers bullpen is just, like, imploding, you know, and, like, you just see Williams, like, sitting there in the dugout, like that would just be such a bad look.
Man, I'm assuming it must be his throwing hand too, because not that he would be able to play if it was his glove hand that was broken, but, like, I feel like he would find a way to come back sooner with his glove hand, and I believe they're saying he's probably going to miss the entire postseason. I think they said it was, like, possible that he could come back if they make the World Series at some point. But, like, I find that probably not going to happen because I don't think a broken hand heals in a month. So I don't see that happening.
Not that I know of, no.
Unless it's somehow his glove hand, which maybe then he'll come back and they'll have to, like, roll the ball back to him every time so he doesn't catch it. I don't know how it would work, but that's just crazy, though. Like, the Brewers have such a good pitching staff, and, like, even without him, they have a good bullpen, but, like, without him, that's brutal because, like, him and Hader at the back of that, they're just so different, and that's why it makes them so good. Like, they're righty-lefty. Williams throws, like, a changeup that's sick, and then Hader throws a slider and a fastball. It's just, like, they're so different. I don't know, man. It's just, like, I don't think we'll ever see that happen again. When you win,
I would hope not.
Like if you, like, not to excuse it, but if you punch a wall, if your team got eliminated, that's a totally different story.
Right. That's what happened to the Knicks like 10 years ago. Marius Stoudemire had, like, this fire extinguisher case. And he just smashed it. Like that, you know, you can kind of see it, but, like, I don't know, man.
Not when you win, dude. Like, what happened? I don't understand, man. That's brutal for the Brewers, man. That sucks.
Yeah, I think that's it for all, like, the actual thing. Oh, and Yandy Diaz will miss the first round of the playoffs with left oblique soreness. So,
like, he's a Ray that, like, you don't even think about really, but he's a good player on that team. So I guess that they're going to find a way to replace him, though. Obviously, because they always do.
Because of the Rays, right?
They'll be fine. You know. The Rays are going to Ray, like I said before, so.
No, exactly, yeah. And then get into, the last series you're looking forward to for this season. We're wrapping up. What do you got?
Well, I got Brewers at the Dodgers. That is Friday through Sunday. obviously that could potentially be a playoff matchup in the NLCS. So
Yeah.
I just think that's the most compelling series this weekend because we could see the exact same thing happen in like 2 weeks, not even. So that should be an interesting series.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna go Rays at Yankees, just because it's always feisty, and I mean, dude, with the way like Stanton's playing,
I know.
and I feel like other guys too. I just feel like it'll be an entertaining weekend.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm hoping that it doesn't come down to the final game on Sunday because I'm a Yankees fan. Obviously, as a baseball fan, you would always love to see Game 163s, but I'm hoping that the Yankees somehow clinch before then. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. Obviously, again, there's 4 teams for 2 spots, so this weekend is going to be pretty interesting for the AL wildcard.
Yeah. All right, and getting into stat of the week. This was a guy we touched on a little bit. I think it was 2 weeks ago when we talked about Toronto. But Marcus Semien the other day, his 44th home run of the season. That is the most by a second baseman in AL or NL history.
Isn't that crazy? I think it was against the Yankees that he hit it. So I saw it right when it happened. If you just think about the good second basemen that there have been, no one's ever hit 44. Like, that's a big number, but like still. Even like Robbie Cano in his day was like hitting above 30 homers, I believe, in a few seasons. Like,
oh yeah,
I feel like there's a bunch of guys that you would have thought would have hit that many, but I guess not. I mean, that's a big number, but
he's on a 1-year deal. He's on a 1-year, $18 million deal. So, I mean, you would think Toronto's the front runners to keep him next year, but he's a free agent. So
he is, and like
someone's willing to overpay or really just give him a huge deal. Yeah. So
I mean, there's like the big class of shortstops that are going to be free agents. Semien should still be in that, even though he played second most of the year. Like he's a shortstop. He played shortstop his whole career. So he's a little bit older than most of those guys. I think Semien is about 31 or
he's 31. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So most of those guys, I think, are 27 or 28, like Correa, Seager, Story, Baez, all those guys. But, I mean, still, 31 years old, and he just hit 44 homers. I don't see him slowing down. So I see a lot of teams going after him, especially because he's not going to be asking for, like, a 10-year deal, I don't think. Like,
no, I think it'll be like a 4 or 5 type of thing. Yeah.
I could see him going 5 for, like, 100 or something, like – 5-year, $100 million or something like that.
That'd
honestly,
because honestly,
I know, but he just reminds me of like those guys that once they hit 30, teams don't want to spend that much money, and like he would take a deal like that, maybe with like a 6-year option or something, whatever it would be.
Right.
Plus, I feel like if they did a deal like that, they give him a lot of incentives or something, whatever it would be. But I do feel like he fits great in Toronto, so I really don't think they let him go. But I don't know. It would. I mean, he's obviously had a great – dude, he's probably in the MVP conversation. We'll talk about that next episode, like who we think the MVPs – like
I think he would be if everyone – if like Ohtani and Guerrero wouldn't be having these seasons. But, I mean, still, he's still up there.
Dude, can you believe that Toronto is where they are when they have guys like Bichette, Semien, and Vlad
I was thinking that earlier.
Having?
I don't get it. Like, even –
and their pitching has been good too. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago too. Their pitching's been great. Like Barrios and all those guys have been good too. I don't understand what's happening there.
Like I think I can make the case that they're the second best team in the AL behind the Rays. Like I don't think that's a absurd argument.
Yeah.
And they might miss.
I don't either.
I don't know. I don't get like. I feel like a lot of good teams are going to miss it this year. Whether it's they might see. No, I don't know if Seattle's actually good, but. They'll be in there. It'll be fine. They won't miss.
Yeah, they're going to win the division, like we said.
Well, right, yeah. So that wraps it up. That wraps it up for us. We'll be back after the season, or regular season.
After regular season, yeah.
We'll be recapping the wild card action, and
we're also going to give you guys our awards next week too, MVPs, stuff like that. Because we don't want to watch too much of the playoffs before we make a vote, because then we might think
No.
otherwise as somebody. So we got to do it now.
No bias in there. No, yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Take care, guys.
should be a fun weekend. Enjoy the wild card race this weekend. Remember, Seattle's winning the division.
Oh yeah, they're in. It's out.
100%.